the same way you treat 1,000 shillings is the same exact way you're going to treat 10 million shillings. So don't think that magic is going to happen when you come into a lot of money. If you don't have discipline, if you do not have habits that you've created around to have a good relationship with your money, even when you have a lot, it's still going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So just start with what you have.
The universal rule of money is save me today and I will save you tomorrow.
You mentioned about people struggling, really struggling to save. A habit, any form of habit, takes 21 days to become something that is a bit easier for you to do.
Hello, good people. Welcome to yet another episode of the Behind the Curtain podcast with Centonomy. And today we will be looking at or talking about saving. Are you saving? How far have you gone with your savings this year? And before we get into that discussion, allow me to introduce my co-host in the session today. So,
Hi, my name is Kathleen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joanne.
Thanks. So now, my name is Waweru, and before we get into the discussion about savings, I just saw a statistic that said that by November of 2024, the number of Kenyans investing in CIS is collective investment schemes.
Yes.
Yes, they had surpassed 1.2 million, and 300 billion is the number of assets, the amount of assets that they are saving. So is that an indicator that Kenyans are doing a good job in investing
Maybe
right
you
now?
can tell us what is CIS.
CIS. So they're basically unit trusts. So CIS in the collective investment schemes, like where you bring 1,000, I bring 1,000, and then a fund manager keeps the money for us, like MMFs. Like I know most people are in MMFs, and I don't know whether that's to show that Kenyans are not investing and saving, or maybe to bring it closer home. Are you guys investing or saving for anything? Ama, you will answer that question on Monday. Are you saving for anything? Are you currently saving anywhere for anything?
Yes. I am. I have a number of goals that I'm working towards, and
Okay.
I'm actively putting money into them. So yes.
I am actively saving and investing, and just to bring it closer home, we can't run away from the fact that it's been interesting seasons. Think about 2020. Anytime from 2020, we really got life lessons.
Yes.
COVID came, people lost their jobs. What seemed like a very obvious and constant lifestyle was shaken within a month. So people have learned that what you have today does not have to be there tomorrow. So that could be a contributing factor over and above the fact that we as Kenyans especially are also struggling. I don't want to say with the current government. Oops, I already said it. But, like every day we're having deductions on our pay slips. And so let me just put it this way. Life has become so real. You're not given too much choice when it comes to saving. You really have to think about tomorrow.
Push has come to shove.
Yes.
Push has come to shove, and you really have to put money.
Yes.
Yeah. And even if you didn't have a goal, now you have to sit down and come up with a goal, most especially. We're not living, those moments where I have some cash in the bank and I'll figure out what to do with that later. Now you have to be very intentional. And it's conversations people are having about inflation rate. Right now, if you don't know the inflation rate of Kenya right now, what are you doing? If you're not listening to, or rather, if you're not reading the reports by CMA, Capital Markets Authority, how are you living life? We have gotten to a point where we are now very alert. Any kind of information, especially one that touches on our financial matters, is something that we really take it to heart.
Yeah, so we have to be deliberate about thinking about our tomorrow, thinking about something that you want to achieve at some point. And I think something that's coming up right now is you're saving towards something. Yeah. So there's a goal. So what's your why? Like, why are you saving right now? Why are you saving? You said you are saving. For example, personally, I may say I'm saving towards my education goals mainly. So what are some of the other reasons why you would advocate for people saving? What's the point of it all?
I think the way Joanne mentioned that life has become so real right now, most of us are saving, and I'm putting myself there. An emergency fund is something that's very critical right now. And also boiling it down to the fact that I need to understand how much is my lifestyle per month, so that now that dictates how much am I putting every other month or every other time, so that I can be able to create that buffer, more or less just buy myself time. So in the event something like COVID happens, then I can be able to know I have a year. I've bought myself a year to just think things through and come up with a strategy or recalculate things so that I do not operate at a disadvantage. And it's also wise to note that there's a difference between savings and investing. So savings is something for security and also for accessibility. So if you're putting your money in your mattress, if it's secure, if you feel like it's secure, you're not different from someone who's putting it in a bank. So for me, an emergency fund is something that is a very big goal when I'm thinking about saving. For investment, that's long term, and that's where now the biggest goal comes in. Is it growth? Is it capital preservation? Is it income? So, and I have to revisit that conversation with myself every other time.
One of my biggest reasons for savings, which I seamlessly then translate into investments, is retirement. Because, I mean, let's face it, I'm not going to be working forever, and that's not my desire. At some point, I want to sit somewhere, watch the waves, feel the nice wind on my skin, without really having to worry where this money is coming from. So if I don't set those things right now, then what am I going to retire into? So for me, retirement is a really key motivator of savings and eventually investment, because one of the things then that we also emphasize is because of all these other factors like inflation, economic instability, where you put your savings has to have a higher return than all those others. Otherwise, then your money is losing value over time.
Yeah.
Although fundamentally savings by themselves is also really good. So if you haven't started with finding out investments and where the returns are, at least if your savings, you're doing well, because it's a discipline issue before it's a rate of return issue. It's a discipline issue, and the moment you get into the discipline of doing it, then now you have the mentality to start thinking, who's going to give me a higher return after you put the money where you're putting it. So retirement for me is one of the critical ones. And then secondly, for many other things, for example, when you're a parent, your children need to go to schools, you have dreams and ambitions for them. They're not going to be met if you're not putting some money aside. So those are some of the key things that drive my saving.
Awesome. So, well, I want to bring a debate from a statement that we people who claim to be what our personal finance say. There's a statement that if you can't afford something twice, like if you can't afford 2 fridges, you have no business buying that 1 fridge. But we also advocate for saving, such that you can put kidogo amount of money maybe in some kitty or somewhere, so that maybe in 1 year, in 3 months, in a certain amount of time, you'll be able to buy that BMW that you've always wanted, or that double door fridge that you've always wanted. So what do you feel about that statement, that if you can't afford 2 of what you want to buy, then you have no business buying that?
Mimi kama Kathleen, I feel like they all target the same thing. They all advocate for discipline. They all advocate for you thinking twice about spending money, you ensuring that you are very specific about where you want your money to go. So if you have saved to buy that fridge and you're very particular and you can't afford a second fridge, but this fridge, you have really disciplined yourself to get to that point, why not? I feel like they all balance both ends of the spectrum, but it just depends on where you're looking at it from. At the end of the day, make sure that you're very disciplined to a point where you're not splurging, and especially during the festivities and the holiday season. You will go out there, umetoka kwa nyumba, you have your charger, you have your jacket, and then you go meet your friends and they'll be like, you're going to take care of me tonight. Sawa, tumekuwa tukifanya kazi ya nini, and then now you're splurging. But then again, there's that thing that you've always worked hard towards or for, but now you are indisciplined, and now you're not going to achieve it at the end. So I feel like they're more or less they're the same, but because they're all boiling down to one thing: discipline.
Okay.
So you say the statement is, if you can't afford it twice, then you have no business buying it.
Yes.
I feel like it would lean towards luxuries and not needs, because I mean, to be honest, why would I need 2 fridges? So just buy 1 fridge, and then the other amount, because nowadays fridges are pretty expensive. The other amount can be put in a T-bill. The other amount can be put somewhere else and be saved. So maybe I don't agree with the statement so much, but I also broadly do understand where these people could be coming from. It's an issue maybe of lifestyle. Meaning, if you are really struggling, especially to buy things that are not basics, that are not needs, what we learned about needs, food, shelter, clothing. If you're really struggling with those things, maybe you shouldn't struggle so hard, because you've not gotten to the point where you should be driving that BMW, maybe. You've not gotten to the point where you should be having a double door fridge, maybe. When you look at your life, I mean, you're in Campo and you're having a double door fridge for what?
Exactly.
Like, it's what are you doing with it? So I guess it goes hand in hand. You want it? Can you afford it? Do you actually need it? Because all these things align into merging a life that is balanced out. Because at the end of the day, you want a life that is balanced out. I mean, it's cool to drive the Beamer, the Jeep, but at what point in life are you driving it, you see?
Yeah. Do you sometimes feel like there's a lot of pressure in the society to live a certain lifestyle, and you want to appeal to the keeping up with the Joneses? That's what we say. So
Chamas and Mwangis.
so there's a certain, your friend probably in Campo is able to afford the double door, and you want to keep up with this guy. So you're more or less pushed to a point where you have to ascribe to certain molds in the society so that you can appeal to a certain kind of clientele or a certain status. Because again, there's that notion of your network is your net worth. So you in your head, you're playing the long game. Okay, so if I can make this guy my friend, then I'll be able to probably achieve XYZ later in time. But in order for me to appeal to this person right now, there's that sacrifice that I have to make. Is it something that people are struggling with, which now boils down to their lifestyle thing?
Yeah, I think it's something that people are struggling with. It's something that I'm struggling with. I mean, I feel personally, I feel it and I face it every day. Every time I have gone to most of the serious events, even like in hotels, the watchmen really always ask me if I'm dropping. Really, and it's every time, and I'm really dealing with it. I need a big car. But the pressure is getting worse and worse, and I can only imagine that is my story. But I know so many other people who have similar stories, and society does not know why you are living the way you're living, why you're driving the way you're driving, but they're gonna judge you instantly. You go to people's houses. My God, you get in and you wonder, am I in a 5-star hotel? And you're like, there's no way they're coming to my house. Maybe you haven't gotten to the point where you have aced everything. Pressure is there, left, right, and center. Personally, that's my experience. I face it every day.
So, we were giving an example, you're a Campo, and right now there are some people in Juja from JKUAT who are living lifestyles that I don't think I am living right now. Na mimi ni apparently working class, but they're living like some lifestyle that I am not. I cannot afford it. People work on hizo double door fridges, they have motor vehicles huko nje na gari kubwa tena. So you've been seeing like 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds huko nje na some big vehicles. Wachana the source and how it came to be, but they still have them. So the pressure to match up can be great. I feel it can be great. And sometimes inaweza leta the pap decision, because naweza amua nitafunga macho ninunue your double door fridge ilete kwangu pia mimi. But in truth, in the long run, I don't think it's even necessary to have that item, because kwanza napikanga mara ngapi, like how many times will I be, how much like can I even stock that fridge?
Can you sustain? Can you sustain the usage of that?
Naweza kuwa ninabai ati shopping enough kujaza hiyo fridge yenye si waste. Like some things you have to to consider. But all in all, I think what I've gotten from this is, one, if you're saving, if you want something, you can save for it. You don't have to afford double that thing. But if it's a pop decision, impulse purchase, then ask yourself that question. I think as a matter of discipline, as a check measure, ask yourself whether you can afford it kama imekuja as an impulse thing. And especially my deals zikianza kukua fronted in your face, because that's how they do. It happens a lot.
Something that keeps being said is, a sale is not a sale if you hadn't purposed to buy that thing anyway. It's not a sale. You hadn't purposed to buy it, so you just walk by and you see red signs, but you pick it anyway. That is just gimmicks that marketers use.
So that's what deal 50% off,
75% off. You didn't have a goal to buy that.
So if you don't planned for it, you've not saved 50k. You have spent 75 or 80 or however much you have spent.
So I feel like every day it has to be a balance between your goals, and that's why it's very critical for you to set the goals that you want, because they keep you disciplined and they keep you within the lines of what you should be doing. So it's every day it's a balance between the goals that you have and social pressure, and because shopping is nice, getting something new is always so nice.
We love novelty.
So if you do not have something that is fundamentally driving you into, let me just stop, let me not use this 2K, let me not use this 3K, you'll suddenly give in.
Lakini hapo kwa kusema stop, let me just stop, let me not use that. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Before you get to that point, you really have to battle so much.
And actually, like on this talk, having to say stop to consumption and spending, and say start to saving or investing, a matter of discipline. And I think one of the biggest obstacles and hurdles that guys face as far as saving is concerned. Actually, let us go into like, why are people not saving? Why are you saving as much as you would like to? Are you saving as consistently as you would like to? And
I think before we jump into that, sorry for taking you back, because you mentioned about people really struggling to save. A habit, any form of habit, takes 21 days to become something that is a bit easier for you to do. So if you get into the habit of it, whatever it is, dieting, you need at least 21 days where you're battling with yourself. So even with savings, just start with a few actions that are repeated. If they're repeated enough times, then you get to the point where it naturally becomes the person you are. And we're not motivating or telling people to be stingy. It's just form good habits. Because good habits eventually become who you are. Until you put them in place, then coming back to your question. So.
Actually, before we go to that, let me build up on what you've said. Sometimes it will be hard. Like, that's what life is. It will be hard to like continue doing that consistently. But what happens is, most people, when you make a mistake, you just say, watch and turns on Monday. I'm watch and turns next month. I'm and turns next year. And that's the end of your saving journey. Like in our previous episodes, guys were sharing how they had started saving in terms, including myself. And then something happened, and that was the end for you. And something someone mentioned to me, Ali mentioned, is regression to the mean. So if you want this to be your habit, that means itakuwa mean of your actions. So any action that you take tomorrow, let it be closer, move, like to help you move closer to what you want to do. Hata ukipotea siku moja, go back as soon as possible. Ndo regression, like regression yako ikue closer to the mean by all means.
So, and even as you're analyzing that, also it's very important for you to understand what draws you back. Sometimes you might make that conscious decision that I'm going to do that, and you start, but it's the people around you that will propel you to make the wrong decision. So like right now, you're friends with someone, your friend does not ascribe to that mindset that you're now forming, So now I want to save this 3,000, but my friend comes with twende tushike niko na form uko haraka umetoka na charge na umetoka na nini, na ulipanga uweke hiyo 3,000 mahali, but by the time you're coming back to your house, hata hiyo 3,000 yenyewe hauna. And especially sahi, you'll do that today, you'll do that tomorrow, by the time you're coming back to yourself, you have wasted so much money, and yet you were supposed to just start saving by 3K. So it's to analyze every possible factor and ensure that if you are covering this ground, also cover other ground, so that by the time you're taking the plunge, then you have people who will be able to even make you accountable to your decisions. And number two, create that buffer so that you don't fall hard.
Not better. This is even worse for perfectionists. I mean, those people who are generally perfectionists and they don't know how to do things. Like everything for you needs to be a T. The moment you fall off, coming back up is usually so hard. So be a bit extra careful on your perfectionist, because you start, you say, and then you drop off. The moment you drop, it could even take you a year, because now you start saying, I'm not even as good as I think. And
which is one mistake people do, especially with 52 weeks challenges. Like they're really nice, and the idea behind them is awesome, but most people fail because of that. Like, okay, skip 1 week and the chips start falling, problems zinaanzia hapo, and that's the end. Unamalizia to save much.
Ukianza kujidoubt, the society has enough people to back you on how you're not a good person. My God, they will ride you all the way to your
that's the thing. When you are saying people have plans for your life, for your money, if your money does not have a JD, we will create a JD for you very easily.
So give your money a job description. Okay. So yeah, we were talking about the challenges, some of the things that are hindering us, you, myself, or like generally Kenyans from saving, from investing. And we said one of them, I think something that has come very prominently from this discussion is discipline, the matter of being one consistent and doing what you promise yourself to do. And yeah, most people, myself included, things happen. Like that's what life is. Yeah. I'll plan to save X amount every week. Nilikuwa nimeanza kusave for Christmas in 2024. Like I had started to save for my Christmas. I think it was 100 days to Christmas or something. I'm supposed to save 100 a day. And at some point nikajiambia hii 100 ni kama inakuwa ngumu, let me save weekly. So nikahesabu weekly nikawa nimesaba that one I can afford. In fact nitaweka 1,000 nitakuwa na make more. You convince yourself that, and then a week passes and you haven't done that. Took a week 2 una realize wow, now this is 2k. Now ukitake 2k from your like budget, most probably inaanza kuharibu vitu fulani, like the flow kidogo becomes shaky. So makosa inaanza kuingilia hapo. Sometimes discipline or consistency is not the easiest thing, but I think in one of our previous episodes, someone has mentioned something like locking away that money, like just lock it away, very, very, very far away.
Please. In fact, that's a contingency measure. If you realize that you're not disciplined, there are so many places you can put your money and lock it. That way, even if someone comes and says nataka 2,000 urgently, and you say sina, hauna, because you can't access it. Even for you need that 2,000 urgently. There's something that you need to do to make that 2,000 shillings. So you build that discipline. Over time, you realize it will actually catapult you to a point where you can afford those things that you really want to afford, the goals that you want to accomplish. That small, I don't want to call it small because it's very powerful. That powerful act of locking it to up to a certain point, it will help you to achieve the goals that you have. And it's a very good thing that even places where we're thinking of putting the money, when you're talking about saving, something like Chamas, for example, there's a way you can lock it, and they usually lure you in. They'll say, oh, you'll get 2%. No. So if it's easily accessible, you get like 6-7%. And when you lock it, you get like 9%. You see, they're even supporting you there. So there are so many places that you can actually get help. But it just boils down to you making that decision and following through. Making a decision is one thing, but following through with it is something that if you are struggling with it, then consider locking your funds.
I think for me, and this might sound cliche, but to be very honest, if I don't operate on a goal, I'm not saving. I'm not taking that money there. So for me, it was so bad up to the point I've never personally taken a 3,000 and put it somewhere. Any money that I do that is in a Chama or in a SACCO. Or so I realized maybe I'm not very good at this. So what do? I identify a goal, something I want to do, buying an asset, for example. I buy it, I take a facility, like a loan facility, I buy it. Now I'm technically forced to save because I have to pay this loan. So I've realized it's another alternative of saving. So I never have money, and I don't have money because actually I don't even have a choice. I'm threatened. There's no way I cannot pay. You have to pay. But the money was used for the right thing. So it's like saving. So I feel like if you do not operate on a goal and you don't have something, it becomes even harder. Because also, my friends, I hope you guys are watching. By the way, you've saved 5,000. You said you'll do something, and then you can show your nanny at 22. You only live one. Like if you don't have a goal, there's so many things that will come and will take priority, and then you end up completely and absolutely not having done anything. So for me, not having a goal.
Knowing what you're saving for. I think
I'm also big on life.
And if you're saving and the money doesn't, like you don't know what you're saving for, chances are hiyo YOLO itakuja na useme, well, you will be able to justify. You will say like, what am I saving for? Why don't I enjoy life?
And some goals we even have when they're forced on us, like I'm a parent, I have children in school. Na saa zingine niko tu YOLO. And I know I need to pay school fees. I'm like a Mungu ako na mimi. So imagine if I didn't even have, like if I don't have goals for myself, what are the odds? Mombasa tutaya.
Enjoyment shall be hard.
But that's a tricky one because now you're forced to. Like umesukuma kwa ukuta, you're forced to. Your fighting technique is put money.
Money. So I think before we end on this segment, being at Centonomy, one of the biggest questions that we receive is something I need us to address here, where someone says that I earn 20K per month and I'm finding it very hard to save. I'm earning for people who are like at a low income level and they still need to save because haba na haba indeed, just as kibaba. But like saving is a good habit for everyone. One of our trainers, Wendy, likes to say that if you earn 100 shillings, you must save and invest. If you earn 1,000 shillings, save and invest. If you earn, like she goes, yeah, your cycle yote. So how should that person take that? How should that person go about saving?
You usually avoid this question so much because
Yes.
I will answer it with a question. What is your goal? When you come to me, and we've gotten this question so many times, even when we go for the Coca-Cola trainings, someone will come to you and say, this is the amount of money that I make in a day. Why am I saving? I'm making 200 shillings in a day. There's transport that I have to use to go back home. There's school fees. There's money that I've spent throughout the day. So by the time I'm closing my business, or by the time I'm clearing everything in the day, I have like 20 shillings. So what am I saving? So I'm boiling it down to that point. You can magnify it if you want, but I will always ask them, so what is your goal? Honestly, do you want to live life that way? Is that something that satisfies you? I feel like when you answer that question personally and internally, then you won't even have to ask that question. You will know I really have to put aside money because there's that thing that I'm working towards. But if there's a lot of gray area here, then even when you come to us as experts, it will be prudent for us to even ask you to introspect. Ask yourself that question: what is your goal? Because now if you understand your goal, then you can actually now look at it from a financial perspective. How much do I need to accomplish that goal? So if you're going to need probably 100,000, then how much can I save per month or per week so that by the time I'm getting to that goal, I already have the 100,000. So you break it down into small, achievable activities, and now it becomes something that you can clearly see, because there's a lot of grayness here, and when you go to an expert, I feel like that's the right thing to ask. I can't come and tell you save 20%. I don't know your goal. I don't know what you want to achieve. I may tell you to save 20%, but you have the capacity to save 40.
Yeah.
You see the dynamics there.
I think I'm gonna approach it from a bit of a different angle, and I fully agree with what Kathleen is talking about. However, when I think about someone who's earning 20,000, what I have seen as success stories, think about your market women. I have many friends who are
Yes.
market women. I have my nanny who is at home. I promise you that girl has more chamas than I do. She doesn't earn much, yeah, but she has more chamas than I do. So what do they do? Every week in this area, in the evening, she'll excuse herself and quickly rush and go and take 300 somewhere. Um, Sometimes it's daily, sometimes it's weekly. For the market, the ones I've seen, there are some chamas in the market that are so huge. You guys can't believe. Because there are many, and they just give a sock a week or 2 sock a week.
Yeah.
And this is money when you're earning 2,000 that is it's affordable. Because you find that go and do something on the side and someone gives you even a uchi. How many times have you let a tip of 100 for a uchi?
Many times.
That goes to a chama. So if what you have, you consider it as little income, and you don't feel like you're at the level where you want to go and take it to a bank account or go and put it on a MMF or something like this. So there is a networks that you have around you. Nobody lives in isolation. So these two small chamas gives you an opportunity to accumulate this 100, 200, 500 into the level, and then now they keep growing, because when you think about government and empowering people, these are the chamas that they come to give money because they want to boost you now and remove you from this
level.
level where you feel like 100 shillings is a little. So you just need to find yourself in such spaces. Don't say it's in isolation. If you can get 100 a week, there's a chama, and then they do merry-go-rounds, then they start loaning people. In the process of that, you getting that loan, that is how you manage to open a side business. If you're employed, you're selling skumas, you're doing what? Now you don't have a sock, now you have 3 sock or 4 sock. Kidogo kidogo, you're the one who has a shop. Kidogo kidogo, you're a supermarket. Kidogo kidogo, you're the one who's roaming this country with a BMW. I don't think anybody has limited opportunity for growth in terms of savings. It's all in our minds. And if you choose to start, even if you start with 50 bob, I promise you, you're going to go very far. So don't look at where you are like it's a small amount you have. Just use the channels that you have to grow it. And I feel like those Jama things for people who earn low income is a very good route. And I've seen people go very far. Yeah.
So find the right avenue for you. Find the avenue that works for you and know what you're saving for.
And keep growing. And it's not staying stagnant. You cannot be at the same place you were last month, last week, last year, and you're okay.
Yeah.
There's a problem. No, it's not even a money problem.
It's a you problem.
And you could say, oh, but I answer this, but I have so many responsibilities. They're only gonna get more. You can't sit there say that and continue to have other kids. You're increasing responsibility, reducing income, and you want to sit there and say this idea. You actually have to wake up and do something.
You have to good work.
Mmesikia. Hata mimi nasikia, hata mimi.
Maybe as we finish on this segment, let me be a little the devil's advocate, kidogo tu. So in personal finance, wanasemanga that there could be 2 types of problems. It could be an income problem, a saving problem. So most probably this person who's earning kidogo money, what they have is really not a saving problem because they probably have the discipline and everything for it. But you know that kidogo, maybe it'll take a longer time to achieve whatever goals they have, what Kathleen pointed out. So understand, is my problem an income problem or a saving problem? And then if it's an income problem, then what you need to do is try as much as possible to increase your income. Wedaka anapenda kusema the stuff about your non-financial assets.
Yeah.
Non-financial assets. And they say we are all blessed. We are all blessed. There's something you can do that someone else can't do. There's something that you do exemplary well.
Yes.
There's something you're talented at.
Yes.
You're a good public speaker. You play some instrument. You do something. Use that. Gain some extra cash. Do something. As Joanne said, keep growing. Yeah, get something to understand. Get something to keep increasing your income and make it incremental constantly. Grow your income. Welcome back, and now we will go to the fun segment, and our dearest Kathleen has awesome things for us.
You guys, I know we're talking about money. Let me just bring some fun and flowers into this. So while we're talking about money, we all did English high school. So now, in fact, John, by the way, wewe unasemanga wewe ulikuwa madam wa badge. Madam wa trophy.
Best in English. Best in English.
Only drop English. So kuna some things here, some words that I want us to spell.
Unaficha simu karibu.
Amweziona hata. So I'll read out a sentence and then I'll tell you the word to spell. So this came from our dearest Ekra. Apparently the Gen Z in the room anataka kuonyeshana vile tuli drop English form 3. Anyway, so I'll start with Joanne.
Oh, it has to be.
It has to be you. The mi hata nimeshindwa kuipronounce.
How am I going to spell it?
The obsequious assistant. Guy Ekra. The obsequious assistant constantly flattered his boss to gain favor. Spell the word obsequious.
Obsequious. OBSEQUOUS.
There's like a letter you have missed. You want to go again?
I did all those. I've done. I'm so far missed out on like 10 letters.
You're fine. Okay. Do you want to try that one?
I think she skipped letter E.
Hata huko nje hata tunayo.
Oh God.
There's a letter. So it's OBSEQUIOUS. Yes.
That's the I.
Yes, that's the I skipped. Yes. The obsequious. Wawesh sasa mtu wa kugraduate.
Mimi nilifanya Kiswahili.
Aya. The box was filled with miscellaneous items, from old photos to random trinkets. Spell the word trinkets. Hi.
Trinkets.
Spell the word trinkets.
Trinkets. TRINKETS.
Good job. Nadhani venye nimekupatia word ngumu lakini nimeusipewa. Miscellaneous ungeshindwa. Hebu try again. Try miscellaneous.
Ni miske. Unajua na double L, like ni how you pronounce it.
MIS.
EOUS.
MISC.
E. Double L. E. Sale.
Miseli.
Double LE. Oh
So
God.
miscellaneous.
Na trinkets.
It's MISE double LANEOUS. I promise. Ekiju not.
Miscellaneous has an A.
It has an A.
Miscellaneous. Okay.
Items.
Wow.
So nitapea nani? Nimejaribu kukram hizo.
Unataka kuhepa yako.
Hizo usinipe nguvu. Make me look nice.
Okay. I will read. The author wrote under a pseudonym to maintain her privacy. The author wrote under a pseudonym to maintain her privacy. Spell the word pseudonym.
PSEUDONYM.
Awesome.
Good job. See, ilikuwa haraka.
Quick fast.
Hatuku drop English form 3. Tulienda nayo mpaka masters. Anyway, right. So back to Awesh.
Karibuni back to studio. So now, how much should I save? Is a question. How much should I save?
How much is your goal?
Okay. So what am I saving for? Then final calculation. All right.
Even Wetaka likes to talk about it that way. How much is your goal? You want to drive a BMW. How much does it cost?
Well, then I want your reaction too. There are like 1,000 articles out here saying that the personal finance rule in Akonga 50 budgeting rule 50 30 20. So shouldn't I be saving 20% peke yake?
For guys, what 50 30 20?
Okay, so most people say 50 30 20 as a form of budgeting, where 50 goes to your needs and wants, and then 30 goes to wait. 50 goes to needs, 30 to wants, then the 20 goes to savings and investments. So what say you?
I think number one, the savings should always be advised by the goal. But assuming there's someone who's operating without a goal, there are just certain things that you want to look at in terms of maybe percentages. So if you earn, say for example, 50,000, you have to look at what your expenses are, and the idea is to try and live within your means. So if you're earning 50,000, maybe you don't want your rent to be probably above 10,000 or 15,000, assuming you have like kids and school fees and all of that. So make sure the percentages are in such a way that there's a percentage left out for savings. That's the one that is left out a lot. Because you first start with giving everybody else, you parent, if you're studying, you pay for your studies, you eat, you dress, you do that. At the end of the day, you find if you're a religious person, you give to your faith, but you find you don't have anything left for saving. So the advice would be, even if you do not have a percentage, at least make sure it's something that is definitely going to the savings. If you haven't identified a goal, then make this percentage eventually make it goal based.
Nice. I think it's a good guiding principle. If, as Joan said, you don't have a goal, you don't have a specific thing you're working towards, so it's a good place to start from. Before you figure out everything that I'm saving for ABCD and I need how much when, I think it's a good guiding principle. But
it's wise. It's wise to have a goal. Yeah.
And it's a cycle. The moment you start saving, then you realize this percentage, then you get a goal, you realize sometimes unasonga pole pole sana. You know, if I'm saving 1,000 and the thing I want to buy by the end of this year is worth 70,000, haitawifika lini. So it really helps in advising we need to accelerate this. And then at some point after you have added a few more shillings on top of that, now you identify where can I put it so that it can grow, so that it can reduce my burden. So one right action automatically advises the other right action.
Yeah.
And you find yourself moving faster. And then now guess what happens when you hit the goal? It feels so good. So you set another goal and goals keep going, getting better. Like I was able to do this now. I won't even, because you can only aim high. That is always starting as well. Start.
Yeah. Let me throw a spanner in the works, because even for me as Kathleen, I've found myself in this place so many times. You will have a goal, but it will keep on changing. So we're telling people, have a goal, but then today I might say, me, I want what's your best car? The car that you usually want to drive kabisa. Chana na hii kadudu. Jeep. No, nimekuwa too real. So Leo, Joanne, today you say I want to drive a Jeep, and then tomorrow you realize, oh, that's glare, that's Mercedes GLE, that's the glitch. The GLE doesn't look that bad. I'm leaning towards the GLE, and then tomorrow you hear Wawesh talking about, oh wait, is that what's your favorite car? Audi something, you know.
nakwanga huko kwa
unakwanga kwa Jeep, pia huko hapa
itakuwa gari kubwa.
Sawa. So usikia Wawesha anasema, but what kama si Jeep ni gani nyingine?
Okay.
Tuseme Audi.
Audi, yes.
Tuseme Audi. So usikia Wawesha amesema Audi, alafu uangalie Audi when it doesn't look that bad, you know. So does that mean that we also really have to be specific, not in terms of this is what I want, but in terms of, is this exactly what I need?
Okay.
You know, because I might have this goal and I might start saving towards it, but it will keep on changing because I haven't really defined, is this exactly what I need for me as Kathleen? Have I envisioned my life clearly enough to say that it will be complete if I have a Jeep? Wouldn't it also be complete if you have an Audi? You know, where do we draw the line? That's all right. So if I'm saving towards this goal, then it's this goal, and I have really narrowed it down to these specific parameters that will define that this is exactly what I'm working towards. Another example will be, you want to probably live in your own house at some point. So you go down, where is the house? How much is that piece of land? Who are your neighbors in the next 20 years? How do you envision that place looking like, you know? So the goal is to have your own home. And then you boil it down, but it keeps on changing. Today, guys are talking about Kitengela. Tomorrow, guys are talking about Kiseria. The other time, it's Kamakis. The other time, but the goal is I want to have my own home. So how do you balance all this ends of the spectrum?
So I think there's a level of assertiveness that everyone needs as far as decision making is concerned. Wachana to another financial, like basic assertiveness, like being able to make a decision and say, this is my decision. Be what may, like if whatever comes later, I'll deal with it, because analysis paralysis is very real, and most of the time hata itafanya you will just be unazunguka because you don't know what you really want, and it's okay, because part of the decision making process is looking at the options that are available, but sometimes looking at the options itamaanisha hivyo.
You get stuck in a loop.
So I think at some point it's saying I need to have decided, make a goal by nini, because you can't be in a constant state of not knowing where you want to live or what car you want. Like at some point, make a decision and say I'll deal with whatever comes later, because sometimes once make the decision that you have with the available data, like what information do you have, make a decision using that. Those things that happen, you really have no control over. So make that decision.
So you don't decide based on speculative assumptions, uko I will be very much okay if I get this and I'm working towards that. Everything else is just noise.
Everything else is noise.
Interesting.
I think I'd like to appreciate that life is going to change. We're going to move into different seasons of life. So you have just graduated from college, for example, you've gotten a good job, you're getting a really good income, and obviously you see you can afford a certain type of a car. Let's not even go to the very high-end ones, but you can drive a really good car, right? And then life happens, and maybe you start a family, and you realize, you know what, I don't have to spend 5M on a car because very soon I'll actually need a home. So goals need to keep, it's allowed for you to keep changing because now you have gotten to a phase where you need to start thinking about housing your loved ones. Maybe you have a wife, you have a child, you have a husband, you have a child. Now you start changing goals because maybe now also you're two people, you've gotten married. So it's to appreciate that over time and in the different seasons of life, things are going to change and goals are going to change. But the ticket items, if I was to call them that, are not usually very big. It's property, it's cars, it's homes. So what changes is the specifics, which are not very critical. When you want a home, you at least already have an idea of what kind of a home you're looking at and where you live. It. If it's a car, it's about saying maybe I don't want a very expensive car at this point, or actually this is what I want. So the goal may change, the ticket items may even change, but it won't be very significant. But at least even if you have that goal and you say, I want a car, and you get to 2 million, and the car that you want has gone to 3 million, it's about finding an extra 1 million. You're not starting from zero. So I feel like it's to appreciate that it's going to change, move with it, but you're already working towards it.
Don't let the change leave you paralyzed.
Yes. And you embrace the dynamism of life also.
Because things are going to change and then the parts of life significantly.
Awesome. So as we finalize this discussion, we've pointed out the very many things that don't work in saving, why people don't save, why all that about nearly save, nikatoa. I did what someone was bitten by a snake. I had to take away my savings to take to hospital, all that stuff. So I want us to share some of the things that have worked for you in terms of savings. Like, what are some of the, say, avenues that you've used that worked for you? Some of the tips that you used to make you, maybe, for example, not go back to take your savings, say, to do something that you had not budgeted for. So what are some of the things that have worked for you as far as saving is concerned?
It's two things actually. It's not a lot. Number one, it's sticking to a budget. It's very easy for me to I've realized that even in my previous the previous ways that I've spent my money, it's very easy for me to use my money on unnecessary things. So now I purpose that I will operate with a very realistic budget. So I took my time to craft that budget in such a way that it catered for everything that takes money out of my pocket, and I stuck to it. So if we're talking about saving and we're talking about investments, that's a non-negotiable for me. So I will not have that 2,000 urgently. I'm sorry, because it has a job description, and please don't see to care. That's just how I operate. The other one is taking advantage of locking my savings. I'm someone who also struggled with the disciplineness when it comes to money. So when you come to me, and I'm very empathetic, so I like to help people. I like to make sure that if you're around me, you're as comfortable as possible. So now locking my savings gives me the power or the platform to say, I really don't have it. And it's not, I'm not lying. I'm actually telling the truth. It's not there. Because even for me, if I want to use that money, there's so many obstructions layers that I've created around the accessing of that money, to the point where if I really need it, I have to break them and it will affect me in one way or another, mostly negatively. So those two things, locking my savings and also sticking to a very realistic, not just any other budget, a very realistic budget. Those two things have really helped me, and they have catapulted me to a point where now I can see myself achieving the things, those grand things that I've always wanted to have. Now I can see them. I already sighted the horizon, but it was difficult for me to build a very clear roadmap that gets me to that point because of all these things that come to play. But those two things have more or less cleared the space. Now I can actually see myself getting these things without struggle, without doing illegal things. You're just doing it the right way.
So for me, number one, I have multiple chamas, many chamas. So at any one point, I could be so broke, especially the third week of the month. But I'll have a chama where I can go. There's something we do that is called emergency. It's just sometimes I feel like even these chamas encourage bad manners, but we survive when there's money there. Hey, yeah, women chamas have money. Sometimes we'll go with like just 3,000, what you were supposed to give. I come out of there with like 57,000. We'll find out. We'll get to have multiple chamas, and with the chamas, especially women one. I don't know about men chamas, and I'd like to hear how they operate. We're usually very no nonsense. You cannot not bring money. You ate someone's money and you come to give us stories. So that has really worked well for me. I also operate very much on goals, and as I said when we were starting, I'll identify something that I want to do, and it has to be a big thing. I identified it. I identified it, put a price on it and a timeline, and I will hustle until I do it. Whether it means borrowing, whether it means, and then now I start to repay it slowly. Then the other thing has also been just making sure that I'm pretty much now living within the means of what I have. So yeah, largely.
Well, I think one of the biggest hurdles to saving is lifestyle. So I think one of the things you need to do in case you're having challenges with saving is check your lifestyle. Like, is that lifestyle that you can a lifestyle that you can afford? And then number two, I'll preach the Centonomy gospel. Number one, rule number one, pay yourself first, always. So if that looks like automating like some amount of money to go to a savings avenue, say Chama, SACCO, a money market fund, do that, automate. Just to make sure that you pay yourself first. Like you don't spend money, alafu back in you save. It's save, alafu spend what remains. And now we're coming to the end of this, and I'll invite you guys to maybe say a parting shot as we finish this up.
I don't want to sound very analytical. I'll just be very simple at this. It's very possible for you to bask in the glory of saving. You just have to start whatever income you're making, where you're getting that money from, whatever you're doing to have that money in your life. Use that as a foundation to get you to where you want to go or achieve the things that you want, the assets that you want to purchase. And it's very possible. We've seen people start with very little and they've grown it to be very, 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 very big. So it's very possible. You just have to have the discipline and you really have to purpose and make a choice every day that this is the life that I want and I'm going to work hard so that I can achieve it.
So my parting shot is the same way you treat 1,000 shillings is the same exact way you're going to treat 10 million shillings. So don't think that magic is going to happen when you come into a lot of money. If you don't have discipline, if you do not have habits that you've created around to have a good relationship with your money, even when you have a lot, it's still going to be a problem.
Yeah.
So just start with what you have.
Yeah.
So I'll finish by saying something Mike, a friend of mine who was at Centonomy, likes to say. The universal rule of money is save me today and I will save you tomorrow. So with that, thanks guys for watching. Please like, subscribe and share this video. It's been awesome having you here in this episode. See you in the next one.
Bye.